You know it's bad when federal investigators launched not just one, but two probes into a recall that you have conducted for engine failures. That's really bad news. Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus History Talk. I have the story for you here at pickuptrucktalk.com. A little bit different video. I'm not at my home studio, so excuse my background. But the story is, I pointed out, was Honda Ridgeline engine failures, because this is an issue for them as well. And the Honda Ridgeline's really interesting, the story. So let me get more details on this as well. So it's on pickuptrucktalk.com. So we'll click on the first story here and we'll pull it up. So you can see where we have the Honda engine. So you can see here where I typed out more Honda Ridgeline engine failures leads to a second 1.4 million vehicle probe by the feds. Second time. So as you go through the story, and I pointed out, like I said, the Honda Ridgeline specifically for a very distinct reason. So it's according to an autonews.com story, the Honda Ridgeline engine failures are part of a larger probe affecting 2018 to 2020 model year Acura TLX, 2016 to 2020 Acura MDX, 2016 to 2020 Honda Pilot, 2018 to 2020 Honda Odyssey, and then it's where it gets funky, 2017 and 2019 Honda Ridgeline vehicles. Yeah, according to NHTSA.gov, the 2018 model, when I search for it under recalls, isn't included. Isn't that bizarre? The 3.5-liter V6 engine's connecting rods are in question after the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, received 414 reports related to Honda and Acura vehicles, including the Honda Ridgeline, having an issue with engine failure. Previously, the agency had issued a probe in 2024 after reports of serious engine issues following a Honda recall of 249,000 vehicles in November 2023. Honda then issued a recall to address what it said was, quote, a possible manufacturing defect in the engine crankshaft that could cause the connecting rod bearing to prematurely wear and seize, leading to engine failure. So we've seen this at other brands. We've seen GM have this issue. We've seen Nissan have issues where a supplier didn't build the part to a specification and it causes premature failure. The Office of Defects, which is part of NHTSA, launches these investigations, but they've now opened an additional investigation after the initial probe ended. I've never seen this before in my 15 years of covering this. It doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It's just in my recent memory, I haven't seen this before. It plans a more thorough investigation into the scope and severity of the potential issue with this engine issue after the closure of the previous probe. So a probe is a really tough thing for automakers. I've talked to them behind the scenes. They say it sucks. The federal investigators, they're in their offices. They're going through all the documentation. They're asking questions. They're interviewing. It's a complete disruption of workflow. It's a bad deal. And now they're going to do it again, and they want to get even more thorough. Ooh, this is not good for Honda. NHTSA said in a letter, the high volume of engine failure reports in vehicles not covered by the previous investigation poses a potential safety risk. So they're saying that they found even more engine failure reports in vehicles not covered by the previous investigation, which the recall didn't cover, which is leading to a secondary probe. Wow, that's not good. So interestingly, I said the NHTSA didn't cover the 2018 model. So I went on NHTSA.gov, which you can hopefully see on your screen. I'm going to make sure to double check here. Yeah, you can see on the screen. So I'm on a 2019, and so 2019 you can see Honda Ridgeline, and I'll show you my work. So I do 10 recalls, and when I look at recalls, I can see engine failure of connecting rod bearing for the 2019 model. So, but when I go up here, and I go to recalls, and I type in, let's see, 2018 Honda Ridgeline, and I click on, I have 6 recalls for Honda Ridgeline. When I click on recalls, I don't have the engine bearing issue. I find that interesting. And let's do 2017, just kind of double check my work here. I haven't done 2017 yet, but if I type in 2017, Honda Ridgeline, I have 7 recalls. Engine damage from connecting rod bearing. So I don't know why, and you can see right here, 2017 and 2019 Honda Ridgeline. So why the 2018 Honda Ridgeline wasn't included in this is fascinating to me. And I just, yeah, very fascinating. So riddle me that in the comments. Yeah, riddle me that then. So like I said, interesting, it's not connected. But according to NHTSA.gov recall report, it said, during production of the crankshaft, due to improper settings of equipment used to manufacture the engine crankshaft, the crank pin was improperly ground, resulting in crank pins with a crown or convex shape that are out of specification. If the connecting rod bearing seizes, the engine can be damaged and run improperly, stall, stop while driving, and or not start, increasing the risk of a fire, crash, or injury. The chronology report, which I've talked about this before in different recall reports, which I always find really fascinating, details when they started hearing about this. So February of 2020, they heard about this first report. July 20th, 2020, they began to investigate the issue. So it's interesting. So in February, they first heard about it, and then February, March, April, May, June, July. So 5-6 months later, they actually investigated the issue. And then over the next year and a half, going on, basically a year and a half, 2 years, they began to analyze and investigate the issue further. And then a full 2 years and 2 months later, they began to conduct additional detailed analysis to focus on different bearing specifications. Then in February of 2023, so 3 years after the initial report, they began to investigate market vehicles that had not experienced the issue for detailed comparison analysis. Then September 2023, they investigated the affected population of vehicles. So again, 3.5 years later, they investigated the affected population. November 2nd of 2023, they determined that a defect related to motor vehicle safety existed and decided to conduct a safety recall. So from February of 2020, when they first heard the initial issue, to November 2nd of 2023, going on almost 4 years later, they were like, oh, maybe we do have a safety issue. And as of November 3rd, 2023, Honda has 1,450 warranty claims and no report. I don't know what it means by no report, but that's what they said. So they had 1,450 warranty claims, which means they had 14, kind of means to me, I don't know if it means to you, but they had 1,450 warranty claims, which kind of means they had 1,450 engines being replaced due to a specification issue with a supplier that led to a safety recall in 2023 of the 249,000 vehicles being recalled that they probably checked over for whether the engines were bad, which means that some sort of testing procedure to check those things before they did the release them to be good engines or not. Which then NHTSA decided to get involved with the first probe of 1.4 million vehicles, and now NHTSA has decided that they are going to go ahead and do a larger probe of those vehicles, a secondary probe, I should say, to see if those vehicles were affected, and they should do a more thorough probe. So now it is August 26, 2025, that is going to be going on over 5 years after the first report came out, that the initial owners are finally maybe get closure. Hopefully they get closure on it back in 2020 of the issue that came out. So it's interesting how long it takes from the initial report to getting all of this resolved. And it's interesting that it's still going on to this day. That's why people say, hey, Tim, have they fixed this issue yet? And I'm like, it takes 5 years to get to this point. So I don't know how you can answer that question. It's impossible. Now you can say they're addressing it. They've had warranty claims. They've had recall reports. They've had NHTSA has gotten involved with federal probes. So they are getting to that point where they're trying to fix it. So it's gonna happen. You know, it's gonna make a difference. You're gonna get warranty coverage, hopefully, and it's gonna be an issue resolved. But yeah, this is interesting. And like again, I haven't seen a secondary federal probe be launched yet, but I do also find it really interesting that 2018 model is not included. Chin rub movement, chin rub. What do you guys think? Be interested to get your comments. Put them down below. And interesting also to note, this is a non-turbocharged engine for those anti-turbo fans. Ooh, that's really interesting to answer as well. Dun, dun, dun. All right, that's what we got for you on this video. Make sure you check out other videos up in the channel up over here. Website down below as well, pickuptrucktalk.com. And if you're one of those affected people, that sucks. I apologize. Hopefully you're getting some resolution or something's happening. But this has got to be annoying as hell. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.